Welcome back to Soup Crafts. I am Soup, and today we're going to open door 17. Oh, but door number 17 is blank. We already know what that mystery means. More sequins. I think that adding sequins is their way of encouraging us to make shaker cards. What do you think? Well, I'm going to think on this for a little while, and I will be back with a project. I'm back with a project for our day 17 sequence. Let's see what it is. I feel like when Spellbinders gives us a packet of sequins, they're saying, make a shaker, and who am I to argue with Spellbinders? So we've got a little fish shaker. For this project, we'll need 2 ATC bases. I went ahead and made a little template to mark this off for the counter, and I want to go ahead and put a brown line on there just in case it doesn't get even across there. This countertop I used the espresso and walnut, I think. This countertop was with the brushed corduroy. It doesn't seem like it would be darker, but maybe this is just juicier. I'm gonna do another countertop like this one. I like that. So we're doing kind of a wood grain look. I'm going to put the other side of my template on here as a mask so I don't get any of this where I don't want it. This is the brushed corduroy, and I am just going to swipe this along. This ink pad is very juicy, which in my opinion is unusual for distress inks. They don't usually come very juicy. Okay, that's going to need to dry. Okay, these are mostly dry-ish. I'm going to use a Post-it note to mask this off, and then I'm going to stamp the little kitty on. The kitty that I'm using is from this set from May. It's called Mavis and Maverick, and this is the kitty that we're using today. I want just for her little head to be poking up there. I'm going to use some black ink, and I'm going to avoid the tail because I don't want the tail sticking up there. I just want that little kitty's head up there. I'm using craft cardstock for my ATC bases today. Okay, that's good enough. Now I'm going to stamp the framed cross stitch that is behind the fishbowl. For the frame, I'm using this frame from this Park Lane set. I'm going to stamp that in ground espresso. We'll need to stamp this on both of the backgrounds. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now we have the cross stitch heart. For the cross stitch heart, I'm using seedless preserves. Tell me in the comments if you've ever cross stitched. We do have to put this on both. This little cross stitch heart is coming from this set, which came in a Spellbinders card kit. I believe it was called So Happy. It was one of the things that I got in my birthday haul. That looks good. Next, we need to cut the fishbowl out of the card without the kitty on it. I'm just going to line my fishbowl up so that it looks like it's sitting on the counter. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. And it looks like my top is straight, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. I'm going to get these set up for my fishbowl. The first thing I'm going to do is glue my fish onto my little water piece. I've already colored that. I've cut my fishbowl out of white gold shimmer paper from Michaels, and I cut out all of my pieces from the fish on the inside. I colored the piece for the fish's eye with a silver gel pen. Now I'm just going to glue my little fish on here, and I know that his head works if I put it right there by the bubbles. Okay, now to get this lined up, I'm going to take my 2 card bases and line them up. And then I'm going to take some glue, put it on the back where the fish is, and then I'm just going to go around the edge of the bottom, not of the top. And then I'm just going to take that and the best I can line it up inside of this little frame. And now every other piece will be aligned with this water piece. Okay, now I'll take that frame off. So to do the shaker, I am using 2 pieces of acetate. I want one to go over the top of this so that this fish isn't a catch point for all of the shaker bits. The first thing that I need to do though is take my white pen and I'm going to add shine on the bubbles and the fish. I really like how the fish turned out on the white gold shimmer paper. I don't know if you can see it. This is a much better fish than we had on day 15. It doesn't show up very well on camera, but in real life it is very shimmery. I'm going to take my acetate And because this has 3 layers on it, I have a thick cardstock that I just cut some little 1/4 inch pieces out of. And I'm going to put those on the corners. Okay, now I'm going to clean off my acetate with a little bit of hand sanitizer. Now I'll go ahead and glue that down. I cut my acetate just a little bit smaller than the size of my ATC card. And I'm going to go ahead and let that sit under here for a minute to dry. While that's drying, we'll go ahead and prepare our foam for cutting. This is craft foam that has a sticker on the back, so it's got a peelable paper on it. I'm going to line this up. I've cut this to be about the same size, and then I'm going to put my die in there, and as soon as I get it locked in, I'm going to trace around the inside. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the other piece. Now I'm tracing this onto the paper backing, and I'm just kind of lining it up at the bottom and sort of even on the sides. It's not going to make that much difference because the part that you're going to line up is this bowl. Okay, now I can run these through my die cutting machine. I will just line this up as best I can and cut these out. I've got my foam cut out, and now I'm going to connect these together. I'm going to take the backing off, or the fronting on this case, off of one of these. I'm going to add some glue because I want to have plenty of wiggle room. Okay, now I'm just going to line this one up and try to line up the bowl as best I can. I don't care about the corners. I don't care about the edges. I just want this bowl lined up. Okay, now this one's pretty good. It lines up pretty good all around, but I'm going to cut some of this off because you can see it sticks out a little bit there. I'm just going to cut off a little bit off of the top. And this doesn't need to be super straight, so I'm going to use my scissors. So it definitely won't be straight. And I'll just cut a little bit off of the top. And a little bit off of the bottom. And then I'm going to clip these corners. And then the bottom on here sticks out a little bit further, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. Which probably means there's some that sticks out over here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. And then I'm going to test the fit. I just want to make sure that it's not going to be poking out of the sides at all. I feel like this is going to be pretty good. I can still feel the cardboard, the cardstock. I've got a little bit of room. I've got more room on this side than I do on this side, but I think that will be okay. It doesn't feel real sticky, but it seems like I always have problems with these sticking, so I'm going to take my anti-static powder, and I'm just going to try to get plenty on my little brush here, and then I'm just going to brush along the inside edge, just to try to make sure that there's no stickiness there. Hopefully that will prevent my sequins from sticking. Okay, now we're going to put the acetate onto the back of the top of the card, I guess that's what I'll call it. I'm going to go ahead and clean my acetate again with a little bit of hand sanitizer. I'm going to add glue around my fishbowl, and then I'll just stick my acetate on there. I want to make sure to get that glue burnished on there really well. Now I'm hanging over a bit here, so I'm just going to take a pair of scissors and just cut that piece off. A couple of these corners are close to the edge, so I'm just going to stick my scissors under there and clip that off at an angle. Now I'm going to take my foam and we'll line that up and glue it on to the bottom. I want the edge of the fishbowl glued on really well. Okay, we'll go ahead and stick that on there, and we're just lining it up with the water. And then I'll have Mr. Googly Eyes keep an eye on that for us. Okay, I let this dry for about 10 minutes. I added more weight to it. So now I'm going to add just a pinch of our sequins in. Our door 17 surprise was the sequins. I'm trying to make sure that they're all cup words, hoping that maybe they won't stack up too much. There is plenty of room in here for them with the 2 layers of foam. Okay, now I will take this backing off, and I am once again going to add some glue. This time I'm not going to get it too close to the edge, to the bowl edge, that is. I just want a little bit of wiggle room. I think this will stick really nicely to our acetate, so I don't want to interfere with that. Now I'm going to line up my bowl over the top of and I also want to try to line up my corners. I can see that I'm a little bit off there. That's what the glue is for. That feels pretty good. It looks like there's a little bit off, but you won't be able to see that once we put the fishbowl outside on. Let's see. Okay, well, it is where it is now. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add some glue to my fishbowl outline. I'm going to line this up at the top of the fishbowl. Once I get it aligned at the top, then it just lays right down. Okay, and there's our shaker ATC for today. Here are all of the cards that I made with the sequins from day 17, and here's the one that we made together. I hope that you have a fantastic day. Thanks for watching. Bye.